Good day and welcome to UroNurse News. I'm Vic Senese, bringing you the latest in urologic health and oncology today. Imagine a medical procedure that promised youth, strength, and maybe even immortality, and all it required was a small piece of monkey testicle. Yes, you heard that correctly. In the early 20th century, a physician named Serge Voronoff believed he had discovered the secret to reversing aging. And for a time, much of the world believed him. Dr. Serge Voronoff was born in Russia in 1866, but later moved to France where he became a citizen and a trained surgeon. There he studied under Alexis Carrel, a pioneer in vascular surgery and organ transplantation, who would later win the Nobel Prize in Physiology and Medicine. Working with Carrel sparked Voronoff's fascination with organ transplantation, especially the possibility of transferring vitality from one organism to another. But the idea of rejuvenation through glands didn't start with Voronoff. In the late 1800s, physiologist Charles Edward Brown-Séquard famously injected himself with extracts made from crushed animal testicles, the so-called Brown-Séquard elixir. It didn't work. The medical community mocked the experiment, and newspapers compared it to Juan Ponce de Leon's searching for the mythical fountain of youth. But Voronoff believed the concept itself was sound. He just thought they were using the wrong technique. Voronoff became convinced that glands, especially the testicles, release powerful substances into the bloodstream. Today we call them hormones, part of the field of endocrinology. But at the time, scientists barely understood how hormones worked. Voronoff believed aging happened when glands slowed down. So, what's his solution? Replace the aging gland tissue with younger tissue, preferably from monkeys. Why monkeys? Because Voronoff believed primates were biologically similar enough to humans to transfer their vitality. In July of 1920, Voronoff performed his first monkey-to-human testicular transplant. The procedure involves sewing tiny slices of monkey testicle tissue directly into a man's testicles. Imagine volunteering for this experiment. Voronoff claimed the graft would release rejuvenating substances into the bloodstream. According to him, the surgery could restore youthful energy, improve memory and strength, reverse aging, treat mental illness, and increase sexual vitality. Naturally, that last claim got the most attention. In the mid-1920s, Voronoff became internationally famous. He was appointed director of an experimental laboratory in the Collège de France in Paris, and wealthy patients were lining up for surgery. At the height of the craze, the operation cost 10,000 francs, roughly a year's salary for many workers at the time. By 1927, Voronoff claimed his procedure had been performed more than 1,000 times worldwide. To keep up with demand, he even created a monkey farm in his castle in Italy. Yes, literally a castle filled with monkeys to supply gland transplants. But Voronoff's ambitions didn't stop with humans. He also began experimenting on animals. By transplanting gland tissue from young sheep into older ones, he claimed to create stronger, larger animals. He even speculated that the technique might someday create giant humans with extended lifespans, possibly even immortality. It sounded like science fiction, but many people took it serious. However, as years passed, the results failed to live up to the hype. Patients who claim renewed energy eventually aged normally, and the scientific community became increasingly skeptical. The final blow came in 1935 with the discovery and isolation of testosterone. Once scientists understood how hormones actually work, Voronoff's graft theory began to fall apart. The transplanted monkey tissue simply did not survive long enough to produce lasting effects. By around 1930, Voronoff quietly stopped performing the procedure. Quietly and thankfully. Between 1920 and 1940, historians estimate that about 2,000 monkey gland rejuvenation surgeries were performed around the world. But eventually the procedure became a medical curiosity and a cautionary tale. Voronoff himself died in 1951, wealthy, famous, but scientifically discredited. And despite all his theories about rejuvenation, he never managed to make himself immortal. The story of Serge Voronoff reminds us of how medicine evolves. Ideas that once seemed revolutionary can later turn out to be misguided or just plain bizarre. But even unusual experiments help push science forward towards a better understanding of hormones, aging, and human biology. And today, modern therapies from hormone replacement to regenerative medicine are grounded in evidence that early pioneers like Voronoff lacked. Hey, is there a solution to the ongoing BCG shortage? Tomorrow I break it down with new research comparing Tokyo 172 BCG with the widely used TICE BCG for patients with high-grade non-muscle invasive bladder cancer. Could this alternative strain provide the same effectiveness in preventing bladder cancer recurrence and progression? And what could it mean for urology practices struggling with limited BCG supplies? If you're one of those, be sure you don't miss tomorrow's episode.
UroNurse News every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Central Time.